This 9 Kings video is all about how to beat the King difficulty with the King of Nomads. The King of Nomads is the newest card from the latest patch, and I'm going to go over the perks. And you can see that with this strategy, you can get all the way to at least King 7 here, and I know I can beat King 7, probably to King 10. I'm just lazy, but we can definitely beat regular King difficulty, which is what this video is about. Let's get into the perks. By the time you reach King difficulty, you'll be around level 8 or 9, and so you don't need all of these, but I'm going to give you the ones that you absolutely do need. You do want Verticalist and Nationalist, and you also want, you don't need Expander, but it's just nice to have. And here's what you want to boost. So, and you can put this in any row, it doesn't matter. And if you play till around level 11 or 12, you'll unlock Leftist, which will make Verticalist even stronger, okay? So you can play till 11 or 12 if you want. It's not necessary. You don't need it. Anyway, starting off, in the middle row, we have Verticalist in the middle, Politician on the bottom. We want +1 Royal Decree rolling options, and this gives you 3 extra ones, okay? This is necessary for the build. If you don't get it early game, you just have to restart. You could try to play without this, but it'll just make you restart more often. Next up, on the top of the middle row, you want Nationalist for bonus King perks. And connected to Nationalist, we want Immigrant for +1 migration cards. And on the right, it doesn't matter left or right, but connected to it, you want Leader for +1 random troop card. This gives you a stronger early start so you don't lose lives. Which you might still lose lives till like stage 11 or so, but we can survive until then most of the time. The next important ones are Expansionist with a +1 random unlocked plot, and Persistent with 3 free rerolls. Now, if you don't have Nationalist, you can just put Persistent in the top slot here, and that works just as well. You'll just have to re-roll a bunch to get the cards you need, and if they're free, it's fine. For your final 2 slots, or 3 slots, you can generally fill these 2 slots with Lucky and Rebellious. Alright, Rebellious isn't necessary, it's just a nice thing to have early game. But if you do have Leftist, connect it to the right side of Verticalist, and if you have Expander, connect it to the right side, or left, it doesn't really matter, of the bottom row, and you can add Lucky and Rebellious. That's all there is to it. So that's the perks. Now, this guide is intended just to beat King difficulty, but if you want to go beyond and try to beat level 100, you cannot fight Greed or Stone, because they will just instantly kill you around level 70 or so, because Greed will kill your backline, and this build is all about using your backline, and Stone will just kill your blob. Alright, this is a very blob build. So the way this works is as follows. King of Nomads has a card called the Warlord that's going to buff all of your troops with its stats mostly. And that's exactly what we're building around, is the your main card, your Warlord card. Now this counts as your castle, but it also counts as a unit. However, it does not receive tower buffs from decrees, but it does receive tower buffs from buildings. I know, that's super weird. I don't know if that's intended. So I'm going to lay out the basic strategy of basically the strategy. So our first Royal Decree is Pillage. If you don't get it in your rerolls, you just restart. We're only using cards to buff the Warlord and cards to increase mob numbers. I'll show you what that is. And after that, we only use cards that benefit from the Pillage perk, which is a +1 when you destroy a land. And then Royal Decrees to buff units. That's all we're doing, and I'll walk you through the whole process. So at the start of the game, we want to place our Warlord in the back corner of the 9x9 that we start with. So either here or here. Alright, so I'm going to put it in the top left back corner. And with our starting hand, we want to basically try to buff the mob card as much as possible. Preferably with melee units. If you don't have melee, like I got Archer and Defender, that's fine. You want to play whatever gives you the most units connected to it. So first off, we're going to play the mob card connected to our Warlord card, because we're going to be buffing that. So I can put it here or here, it does not matter. I'm just going to put it there. Alright, and then connected to the mob card, we're going to put the unit cards, but not in the middle. Well, we can use the middle. Preferably you want melee in the middle. This would be the unit that you're keeping, but in this case, I'm going to have to play Archer in the middle, because that's the hand that I got. Alright. And connected here is also for the mob card. So Shaman gives me more. The way mob card works, every time you place units next to a mob card or upgrade units, the mob grows that many times larger. So right now I have 15 mobs, and if I place a shaman here, I now have 21 mobs, because 15 plus 6 is 21, all right? And, yeah. Now, Bliss is just a strong unit all around, but I want to save the middle of the 9x9. I want to save this middle of the 9x9 for mobs. So I want a mob here, I want a mob here, and I want a mob here. And then I just want to grow the mob as much as possible right now. Early game, that's all I care about. So, for Defender and Ballista cards, I don't want to put them here, here, or here. So I can put them here if I want. And early game, I don't need to play Ballista or Defender right now, so I can just shield up on our Warlord. All your buffs, defense, offense, etc., are all going on your Warlord, alright? Now, in this case, we are not playing Dragon's Den at all. We're only playing units and buffs. We are not doing anything else, really. Dragon's Den is very niche, and on King difficulty, it's useless. So we're going to sell this and end the turn, alright? And this turn's easy. It's just 2 mobs, and we definitely overwhelm that, okay? Super duper simple. Now, when choosing a card, the sooner you max out your Warlord, the sooner you stop getting cards for it. So we're going to go ahead and pick this over Shield or Frost, because that's the most beneficial. We're just going to play that, and then that ends year 2. All right, again, 3 mobs, and we have 45, so it's a cakewalk, all right? All right, so we got Sword, Frost, and Mob. Now, we want to build our Mob up early, so we're going to choose Mob. All right, there we go. And we're going to put it next to the Warlord here. All right, so we have multiple. We need to grow the Mob as much as possible early game. That's all we're doing right now. So King of Greed can't kill us early game because he can't backdoor us, but the way King of Greed works is he just backdoors your Warlords, and then your Warlords can't buff your Mob, and then you lose. So there's our final Warlord card. Now, this is the Royal Decree time. And we need to re-roll until we get Pillage, all right? If we don't get it, we start over. That's all there is to it, all right? So we got Smithy here. Let me hide the text so you can see the names. So we're going to re-roll, and there's Pillage. So the effects of all plot-destroying cards is applied +1 time. This is super important, all right? And there we go. We can max out our Warlord. Now our Warlord is level 3. We don't have to touch him anymore for leveling. And I know there are cards that let you level the Warlord past 3. Those eat up a card slot. You don't want that. You do not want that perk on this class. Okay. All right. So we have wild card, soldier, and archer. So archer, if we add archer to our field, no, I didn't mean to click reroll. That was a mistake. My bad. That was bad. I meant to click the eyeball so I can show you. If I add levels to the archer, it will add more units to the archer, which will add more units to 2 of these mobs. So my bad, I didn't mean to re-roll past that, but we have to pick soldier now. We want melee anyway. And we can put the soldier next to this stack of mob to grow that mob. So that's all, we're growing the mob and we're buffing the Warlord. That is the entire game. I'm going to walk you through each and every turn now. So here we are at year 6. Thieves are a melee mob. Mortgage might be useful here, but if you look at our board, we can't grow the mob anymore. All the mob spots are blocked, so picking Thief right now, pretty useless, and it's a very low-tier unit. The best thing we could do is just grab Mortgage, and then we can mortgage out the Shaman here if we need that spot. Alright, so don't worry about Blessing. Never, you could try to play around Blessing, but it's just, like, by the time it comes around, I always forget about it. It's just a big waste. Right now, the only thing to play is Ballista in our extra slot, and we can just mortgage that later. But they're pretty powerful. You know, they cleave a bunch of units. It is what it is. Alright, so we are on year 6. Now, this is not the best start. I'm going to tell you right now, this is not the strongest start. We're actually doing pretty bad here, but we should still be able to make it. So, the reason we want melee units is because they ball up. They clump up, and our Warlord is going to start giving them massive stat boosts. Okay, so now we have Archer. And if we put Archer here, you'll notice that our mobs are going to grow. Boom, boom. See, there you go. And we just got 27 extra units, I believe, from just that one card. So that's pretty good. We just want to grow the mob. And the reason we grow the mob is because your Warlords they usually target them first. That's kind of their priority, usually on the left side of the field, too. Mercenary, Thief, Dispenser. We're not going to be holding a lot of gold, so all of these are bad. Don't be afraid to use one reroll. One of your rerolls on cards. So these are all bad. We got Beacon. Now, Beacon is really good if you manage to surround and buff it up This is an alternate play style, but you can beacon your Warlord, and it will increase his buff speed. Unfortunately, I'm just going to pick beacon and not probably use it. I'm just not going to bother. Now, when choosing who to fight against, you do not want to fight against Stone or Greed. And generally, you want... If you're not fighting them, which I'm already fighting Greed, it sucks. But when you're choosing who to fight, you want to choose who to fight based on their cards. So King of Blood has Sacrifice, and spells have a better card. So this is... You always want to pick King of Spells if given the option to fight, because you get access to their cards. And Offering is the best card we can get from King of Spells. It will absolutely build huge tempo in our deck. It's what you want, alright? So right now, there's not much to do. I'm just going to play the Defender here in the corner. We can get rid of him later. We have Mortgage. He's not going to do much. It doesn't build off of anything. It's just to play a card. You could also just sell a card. But gold isn't super important for us. I wasted my damn rerolls clicking the wrong button. So we're going to play with that mistake, you know, being made. We can still beat King difficulty. It's not too hard. All right, so when given the option of Swords, Shields, or Migration, you always choose Migration. Every single time. Because this card is going to double dip because we have Pillage. And it gives you 10% damage and 10% HP. Whereas Swords and Shields just give you 5% one time. It doesn't double dip. Now, there is one exception, though. So right now, if you look at our Warlord, he has 7 damage, all right? 7 damage multiplied by 20% is nothing. So what you want to do in this exception is pick Swords until it gives you a percent boost instead of the flat boost. Because right now, Swords will give us a flat boost of 5, which is way higher than 20% damage, okay? So in this case, we will pick Swords, and we're just going to apply that to our Warlord. And now when our Warlord shoots banners down on our stack, that stack will receive the 5 damage. It stacks, too. It's 5 damage, 5 damage, 5 damage, 5 damage. Alright, well, technically, he does 12, so it's 12, 24, 36. You can see right now we're hitting for as hard as... We're critting for like 100-something right now, so 179 crit, alright? Alright, so Offering. We absolutely want Offering because we are going to get 4 cards because of Pillage. This is the best in slot thing we can choose. Now, here's the issue when you buy from the merchant. Depending on what he initially offers you, you're only going to get those type of cards. So right now, I'm getting building cards. I'm getting like Farm, Vault, Blacksmith, and so on. So if I re-roll, if I cheat the game and give myself infinite money and I re-roll 100 times, 99 times it will always be building cards. So keep that in mind. And we don't need building cards. Like, none of this is useful to us at all. So don't even buy anything. Just leave. Alright? And now we have Offering, so we can get rid of a card and get a bunch of other cards. Let's see what we get. So we got some wild cards and Procreate. Now, Procreate is amazing. Especially if you have mobs in both of these slots here, or all 4 slots. You Procreate the middle, and you get 45 units every time. It's really good. Alright? Overhaul is another one that's going to level things up. So I'm going to overhaul the Shaman, get rid of them. That's going to level up our plots. And I really want to hold on to Procreate until I get more mobs. But in the meantime, I can use Wildcard to level up our current mobs. Alright? Now, I have to play a card here. I don't. I could Mortgage the Ballistas. Alright? Or I can also Mortgage the Soldiers, but they're melee. I could also Mortgage the Archers, but they're level 2. So right now, I need all of these to at least survive until year 11 or 12. Until we get our first expansion. That's when we really start snowballing. So in this case, I'm just going to use Procreate. There we go. It's not full value, but it's good enough. It's more than good enough. And we should easily be able to take on the year 10 mobs here. Now, if you're on like King difficulty 10, like with our bad luck so far, we would probably lose 1 or 2 lives by now. But as long as we get to year 12 and expand, we're good. All of these are bad. Raptors are kind of sort of melee, but they dash through the enemy front lines. It's really the only choice here. I'm going to go ahead and use a reroll and get Migration. Alright, cool. Alright, so we can't use Migration right now, so we need to use something. Now, the biggest value we can get is Mortgaging the Ballistas, since we're not going to... We just don't need them. Alright, there we go. That's plus 60 gold. That's plenty of rerolls for us. You can see here, King of Greed is starting to kill our backline. But we have other units in the backline. We have those archers that they're focusing on, so the archers kind of soaked a bit. But we still have some warlords. As long as you have one living warlord, he will still cast the buff every time it's off cooldown. All right. There we go. And none of these are good. And I don't need to reroll for anything that greed has. By the way, when you're rerolling cards, you almost always get the same class, so I would just get more greed cards. So I'm just going to pick mercenary. I have a lot of gold right now, so mercenary might soak a bit. So this is important. When the first expansion happens, you always want to connect it to your warlords. And there's a reason, because right now the warlord can't migrate. If you use a migrate card, he can't go anywhere, so it's wasted. So we just need to open up a slot behind our warlords and use our migration cards. Now, right now, we didn't get a lot of sword buffs, so our damage is a little low, but we still need it for the health, and it's the only card we can really play right now. So we're just going to migrate for 10%, 10%, 10%. Look at the buffs, 10, 10, and 10, 10. So there we go. And we're just migrating back and forth on the warlord. Now, because I'm down to 3 cards, I really would like the damage to be higher, but I have a lot of gold right now. I'm going to go ahead and use mercenaries to soak, and I can always remove them later. We'll just put them in the bum slot here. There we go. We just have more meat shields, more melee. We don't really need it right now, but we're pretty much set to win. That's all we need. Survive till year 11, get your migrations, and every time we open up a new slot, we get a bunch of migration cards, and that's just going to make us even stronger and stronger and stronger. And at year 14, we get another royal decree. There's offering. There we go. We got offering, so we can get rid of those mercenaries and get a bunch of cool stuff here. All right, so we got a lot of options. We could earthworks the soldiers, and we're definitely going to do that because we want to build up this mob stack, absolutely. Clone, we can level up archers to 3. Our mobs are level 3s, so is our warlord. Swords, let's go and throw that on C +5 flat damage. All right, there we go. And we can go ahead and migrate the warlord if we want to, but I'm going to earthworks the soldiers. All right, and then when I place the soldiers here, hey, look, more recruits. Isn't that awesome? All right, and then we could just again put those soldiers right back down, and that gave us 27 extra mobs here, which are all going to get buffed by our warlord. That's just how it works. All right. I could also wildcard more soldiers and put them in this stack, and that's something I can do. I'll probably end up doing that. Or no, let's clone soldiers and then put them down here to build this stack, and then we can wildcard and level up the soldiers. There we go. Though I should have technically wildcarded the archers so it leveled both stacks. It's fine. We're overpowered at this point. It's okay to make mistakes, okay? King difficulty isn't as difficult as people make it out to be. All right, King 10 is a different story. I can make guides for that if this video does well, but probably not. All right, Paladin, Archer, and Farm. Well, we got Archer. Now, so the second Royal Decree, we want to buff our units. Now, you may be thinking, Bunker, increase the attack speed of towers. Well, is Warlords a tower? No, they will not receive a speed buff from that, so do not pick that. We have no towers on the map, okay? Let's see. New plots, we don't need that. Iron Fist doubles critical damage. It's not really that good. Now, here's an interesting one. Gunpowder. So this is interesting, right? When your warlord shoots his little buff banner on the field, it's a small circle. If you do pick gunpowder, the circle gets bigger, so it buffs more units, which can be useful late game, but right now it does not. Like, we don't need it, okay? So I'm going to re-roll, and let's see what we get. Now, Catharsis is really good if your warlord has hundreds of damage. What this will do is start the round where your mobs have hundreds of damage, which means you instantly clear out, like, parts of the wave. So right now, overwork, we don't have any buildings down. We don't need Poison Thorns. There is a strat with Poison Thorns for King 10, but we don't need to do that right now. Frostbite, we're not using dragons. Or, I'm sorry, we're not using any frost stuff. Supplies is an okay choice. It gives you all your King's cards, which heavily buffs your field. You get another set of mob cards. It's pretty nice. Supplies is not bad. It's a good choice. I have some more rerolls right now that I can do. But I'm just going to pick supplies, all right? Supplies, it's not the best choice, but it's a good enough choice. And here's how we're going to play it. We're going to, again, all your buffs go on your warlord. So shield, sword, and frost. Now, when I say buffs, I meant stat buffs. Frost is a ailment. It's something that you enhance your units with to do a thing. Because the warlords shoot so slow and there's not a lot of them, you want to put anything like anything that buffs your units with an ailment onto the unit. So I'm going to take a buff of frost and put it on this stack of mobs. You generally want to put it on the biggest stack of mobs or the mobs that are the furthest to the left. All right. Here we go. We can place a mob card there. And our Warlord is fully leveled, so we can sell that card. All right. We have 2 migrations to use. Let's go ahead and burn them now. And there we go. And then we have archers in the middle. That's going to, give us a whole bunch more mobs. Dragon's Den we can sell. Camp we can sell. And we can throw raptors here in this bottom corner to buff this stack of mobs. All right, so there we go. And again, very, supplies, it's not the best, but it's good enough. It's good enough, all right? You don't have to waste all your rerolls. Okay, so next up we have Offering. There we go. We're going to then put raptors in this corner to buff this stack of mobs. And then we will offer them up. We could also offer up the middle and get rid of the archers and put some other melee there. You really want just a big death ball of melee. And I know mobs are technically a ranged unit. They have they throw rocks, but they have to get so close that they're technically a melee unit. Come on now. All right, Soldier, Steel Coat, and Paladin. I'm gonna... Steel Coat's nice, but you don't really need it until you're pushing post 30, okay? So in this case, we can offer up something, and offering up the archers would put me at a disadvantage right now. So I'm just gonna offer up the raptors and see what I get. All right, cool. We got some clones. We got shield and sword. See, this is why we want offering here. And we can throw the soldiers down to buff up these mobs. There we go. And we can then clone the soldiers, and then we can buff up these mobs again. And we have another stack of soldiers here. You want to level up your stacks evenly, because if you get overhaul and things are level 3, it becomes useless. So try not to max out the levels of your units except for Warlord. You want that maxed right away to free up a card slot. All right, we have the final mob card. We're kind of built up. Swords is nice too. Let's just go ahead and get our final mob and throw them right there. There we go. And now we just need like procreates for the middle or anything that we can throw in the middle to buff all 4 stacks of mobs. All right. And looks like we fought a rainbow army, which means we get a rainbow card. These you can spin some rerolls on, but I really like ooh, not Unify. Temple is okay if you want to play long term. X-Ray sucks. I want the one that deletes a land for a royal decree. That's the best one, Raising. Raising is the best one. Gigantify is also insanely good if you get it later when your warlords are strong. This doubles the stats of your warlord. All right. So right now I'm going to tell you Gigantify is technically better for me than Raising, though Raising can help as well. I'm going to get Gigantify and Gigantify our warlords. There we go. 100% stat boost, and those warlords are going to give those stats to our mobs. So we're in very good shape. We have 300. We have an army size of 372, and we're fighting an army size of 78. Like, there's no way they win. There's no way they win right now. They're too weak. All right, so you can level up your mob, but shield and sword is just better, and you almost always want to pick sword over shield. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. All right, so we get another expansion. Now, at this point, you could start trying to expand near your big mob stack. So my biggest mob stack is here, but this also connects our warlord to it, but it's fine. And you could also try to grow one of your smaller stacks. I'm just going to go ahead and put it there. And look at all the migration cards we got. Isn't it nice? Now, I could also, at this point, I could put a beacon on the mobs to increase their attack speed. It is what it is. But let's go ahead and... let's see, are these archers? They're level 3. These soldiers are level 2. We'll clone soldier, make that stack level 3 so that we, buff those two. And then we'll migrate a bunch. We'll sword first before we migrate. And then we're just going to spam migrate on our warlord. There we go. So you can see now our warlord stats 477 HP, 215 attack power, 20% crit, whatever. And he's giving that. He gives the HP and everything to your units. So they just become this massive, unkillable death ball. The only way they're not unkillable is that if they get one-shotted before they get to do anything. Offering, absolutely. Always pick Offering here. And we're going to get rid of our weakest stack of units. So that would be these level 2 soldiers. See you later. And there we go. We got some big buffs here. Now, we're going to go ahead and Earthworks this stack of soldiers and then put them back down. You know the drill. All right. So there we go. Put one over on this side too. And again, we have overhaul, so there's a reason we did overhaul, right? We can also put a stack of soldiers on this side. There we go. And we could overhaul this soldier and level up these guys. Look at that. Ooh, big combos. Right? And what is this? Level 2, level 2. Get this guy down. Now, again, our Warlord can still migrate back and forth here, so we're fine. We have a lot of gold, so we can start using overinvest. You really want to save these until as late as possible because just of how it works. But I'm going to go ahead and migrate there and spin an overinvest. And now you can see our stats on our Warlord: 664 HP, 299 damage. And this is not being buffed by any Royal Decrees. If we get Royal Decrees to double the HP or give it 20% crit or double crit damage, it's literally over, right? You can see the enemy can't stand a chance. This build is overpowered. So we have Wild Card, Archer, and Soldier. Wild Card is basically Soldier, so I'm just going to pick that. All right, Royal Decree time. What do we want to pick, right? You can get another Supplies. You don't need Leatherworks, okay? Eyeglass is nice. 20% raw crit, and this is applied to your whole field. So that's a nice choice, all right? I'm going to go ahead and just pick that. There we go. So now our Warlord has 43% crit, and that's going to be added on to the mob's crit of 25 every time it shoots. So after receiving 3 stacks of buffs, they will always crit, basically. All right, what do we want to level up here? We can level up our mob stack. Let's go ahead and just level up the mob stack so they get more base stats. All right, there you go. We could have leveled up a soldier. It doesn't matter. You know, you don't have to beat yourself up for little mistakes like that, because we haven't died once. We have a stack of over 500 units. Migration, shield, or Dragon's Den. Well, migration. Always migration. There we go. Get another 20% stat boost. 800 HP, 362 damage. And that's being transferred to our Ball of Death here. So, yeah. King of Nothing can't stop us, alright? Literally can't. Okay. And next up, we have Blacksmith, Soldier, Steel Coat. You can add Steel Coat to your biggest mob stack. If you have a really big mob stack, this does help. It eats an entire wave of damage. But I'm going to continue to build my mob stack right now and just pick Soldier. So we have to make peace. We want to keep fighting spells because we need offerings. King of Nothing doesn't really give us much, so see you later, King of Nothing. Preferably, you'd get rid of Greed because he's the hardest to fight later, but whatever. All right, let's build that mob stack. If I put my soldier here, it only builds this stack. If I put my soldiers here, it builds 2 stacks, or here it builds 2 stacks. So we're going to go ahead and build 2 stacks over 1 stack. The reason we put one up here, though, initially, is because of overindulge, so we could also level that up. That's all. All right, and you can see, again, our melee death ball doing a lot of work. Sword, Froster mob. Our mob slots are all full. And so Swords is the only reliable choice here. Give that to your Warlords, 5% damage, 381 damage. We're on year 24, so we're doing absolutely fantastic right now. So King agreed. You know, he took out some of the Warlords, it looks like, but as long as you have one alive, that's all they need to do their job. Overinvest, obviously. Now we can choose a unit. Let's buy a soldier. There we go. Cool. And slap them down, slap that overinvest on our Warlords, and we're almost at 1,000 HP. And we would be if we had, you know, different Royal Decrees. But you don't have to be picky with the Royal Decrees. Other than the first one, you have to get Pillage first. That's mandatory. Just start over if you don't get Pillage. That's all. This is a really easy deck to play. Offering, there's Offering. We can get rid of these soldiers in the back, and ooh, we got a Procreate. Throw that in the middle. Check this out. So right now, we have 36 archers, like 150 in that stack. You get the idea. Now we have 39 or 45 archers and 159 mob. And again, it applies to all the mobs, so absolutely, it's the best thing you can possibly get, right? Soldiers level 3. This soldier's level 3. So the only thing we can do is clone a soldier, start putting them back over here again. We could also Earthworks this soldier, and then put them back down. So we could just do that to build up our mob stack, of course, and then we can shield our Warlord, and then we'll overinvest later. Overinvest, always save for last, preferably. And again, we have 660 units versus 183, and they're all as strong as the Warlord when they get buffed. Overinvest, of course, of course. All right, you can expand the territory once again. I like to have the ones that are connected to the mobs. Alright, so there we go. We have migration. Let's get migrating. Look at all these beautiful stat boosts. And overinvest. Okay, we're at 2,500 HP and 1,000 damage with 57% crit. And remember, our mobs already have 25 base crit, so they get shot by one arrow, they're at 75% crit. You know, they're all going to be dealing 2,000 damage, or 1,000 damage. Offering, hey, look at that. Very good drops here. We can go ahead and offer up. And, Earthwork, you know the drill. Earthworks are soldiers, boom. And, go ahead and slap those suckers back down. That's one. I can also put them down here for this stack now if I want. That way I can build up those two as well. What else do... Okay, this is a stack of level 3 soldiers. So that's level 2, level 2. Let's see. Wild card clone. There's yeah, so we're gonna wild card this stack of soldiers, and then we're going to clone more soldiers. Now, if I put soldiers here to buff this stack, I can't migrate, so I have to put them over here on this stack. See how it works? Pretty simple stuff. There we go. And that's building our mob stack. We had 660 units. We have 822 units versus 200. We outnumber them 4-1. And our guy, like, I have it on auto battle. You could manually buff if you want, but I'm lazy. All right, we now can get Iron Fist doubles crit damage. That's really strong. Gunpowder now is really good if we want to buff a bigger circle. Catharsis. Oh, all right. Look at our damage. Our damage is 1,000. Right now, our mobs, before they get buffed, 5. Catharsis is the best one, and watch. I'm going to show you why. I'm going to pick Catharsis. There we go. Now, everything on the field, and we don't want to get rid of these guys if they're dealing 1,000 damage anymore, right? We want to keep them on the field, okay? But, yeah, everybody's doing 1,000 base damage, and then when they receive the buff, they will now deal 2,000, and then 3,000, and then 4,000. All right, so watch the fight with Catharsis. Watch how fast they die. Oops, they're dead. Their whole front line is just dead. Like, your units, even though they get one-shotted right now because they have 5 HP before they receive a buff, they also one-shot the enemy, okay? Migration, of course, migration. There we go. See, we're in year 30. We haven't lost a single life. Just look at the fight. Oh, man. It's like, we don't even need the Warlords right now. They're so strong. Beacon, mortgage. Let's get... There's nothing to mortgage. Ooh, raising. Yeah, let's get raising. Absolutely. Sacrifice, steel coat. We have a lot of money to blow. Okay. And, yeah, let's put steel coat on our strongest mob pack. There we go. I don't want to sacrifice anything on the field right now. But I can throw a beacon and sacrifice that. And, is there anything that I can level up that soldier stack? Or, yeah, that... Like, sacrifice would do almost nothing for us. But I could do it if I want to. Alright. Mortgage. I don't want to mortgage anything. I could mortgage the beacon. Alright. But I'd rather just do raising and just get another Royal Decree, because that's the biggest card for us right now. What do we have? Sharp Blades, 30% increased damage. That would give us 300 damage. I don't like any of these, so let's try again. Gunpowder. Alright. Iron Fist doubles crit damage. Yeah, let's go with that. That's way more DPS. Alright. We're gonna we can't afford to overinvest right now, so I'm just gonna sell sacrifice and then overinvest, and there we go. All right, we have 2 more years left, and there we go. So, oh jeez, it is just so much damage. They just delete the mob pack. Migration, of course, migration. We always choose migration. Look at our. Let's do a stat check. 4,800 HP, 2,000 damage, 75% crit. Oh man, and oh, they are buffing. They are buffing that whole stack. I'll do mortgage. Remember, we get double the value from mortgage because we have pillage. All right. So what do we want to do here? It's the final round. I want to keep all these guys, so I'm just gonna sell everything. And yeah, I could put a beacon stack here and start buffing the attack speed of Warlord, and that really gets wild. If you have a fully super fast Warlord for attack speed, they just spam arrows like da 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 da, and that stacks the damage, and it gets crazy. If you want to push year 100, you need beacons around your Warlord, where migration stops being kind of useful. All right, and you would start migrating your stacks of mobs instead, so that they have a higher beefy base stat, allowing them to survive a few hits. But in this case, this video is just on how to beat King difficulty. So here's the fight against King of Greed. And you can see that just walk all over their units. They're already dead. We have 831 units versus 278. They just instantly melt. And that's king difficulty. So yeah. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to continue playing and show you how far I get. Now, I'm going to skip ahead for that. I'm not going to sit here and have you watch me play like 70 rounds or however far I get. Alright, so we are up to year 55. I have Feast for double HP, Gunpowder for increased buff range from the Warlords, Iron Fist for double crit damage, and let me show you the stats on our Warlord here. We have 20,000 HP, 4,446 damage with 100% crit chance. Now, you'll notice that I have an army size of 1,134, and that the King of Spells' first wave of attacks deletes 600 people. That's because they are the meat shields that haven't received a damage buff yet. And so, essentially, a lot of your units die on the first wave of attack. Once the remaining units receive a buff from the Warlord, then they can just walk all over the enemy's army. Alright, and again, I'm going to keep going. I'm at year 56. Well, this is a terrible choice. I have to fight Greed or Stone. Stone kills your army, Greed kills your Warlords. So, they're both a losing choice. Alright, and I can reroll them, never mind. Progress is also minorly difficult because the Gunners kill your Warlords also. So we'll fight Blood. There we go. Well, I made it to year 60. I don't think I'm going to make it much further than this. My stats just aren't high enough, and I'm running at, what is this? 60,000 HP, 6.8k damage. So this is a Nomad Rebellion. I should be able to withstand this, but you can see it gets pretty brutal. Yeah, so we win this one, but if we fight Nature, Blood, whoever, it literally doesn't matter. I think it's over. But yeah, we keep migrating to boost our stats. This is King of Spells. Can we beat? Oh no, we lose this. Yeah, it's over. So yeah, year 61, we made it on King difficulty, and not the best start either, but yeah. Anyway, so that's the build. That's the video. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know what you want to see next. If this video does well, gets lots of views, I can go remake guides for the other kings because they did patch out some stuff and change a few things. It's still mostly the same style of gameplay. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment. Click the video on the right side of your screen. If you do, in the next 2 weeks, you'll find some money on the ground. Ooh.